So I'd been working on a couple of videos to get ready to post, and we had just gotten back a few days before this, and from a vacation. We'd gone on a vacation after, lots of work and stuff like that. And we hadn't even been home a week when that fire hit. So right now we are staying in our travel trailer, and let's talk about that. So hi everybody, welcome back to my mini homestead. Well, I guess not really, because we're not on my mini homestead. We're out at friend's place in Karamias right now. So the fire started on August 7th. Today is August 16th, Sunday. And I've had a hard time actually sitting down and doing this video. It's taken me this long to get to it. And I think a lot of it has to do with everything we've gone through in over a year now. I mean, starting a year ago, March is when the road work above our place started happening, and, taking part of our garden and the road being extended closer to the house and all of that. And if you haven't seen those videos, take a look back on my videos a year ago, last August, I think it was, in September. I think I called it Bad to Worse. And so here we are in August of 2026, and our lives have changed right now. So let me tell you about it. So I will hopefully have some pictures going up as I'm talking about different things, so that you have an idea of what we went through and stuff. So Mom and I had gone on vacation. We were gone for 10 or 11 days, and we got home on the Sunday. And I had said to Mom, you know what? I mean, because we always have talked about fires. We live in the Okanagan, right? The fires happen. And so over the last 6 years that we've been living there, we've talked about fires. And I said, hey, Mom, well, I think what we need to do is, we just went camping. Let's get all the bedding washed, all the towels washed, get them back in the trailer. Everything else stays in the trailer, pots and pans and all that kind of stuff, paper plates, and so we got all that done, and we got our trailer cleaned out, emptied the tanks, all that kind of fun stuff. So we were ready for next year. And on Friday evening, I was talking to a friend, and his wife was talking to somebody else that lives past our place. I didn't realize that at the time. And he said, Sharon was just talking to our friends, and they were told they need to evacuate. And I went, what? Evacuate? We're less than 5 minutes from their place. And so at 6, this is the bizarre thing. So at 6 o'clock that night, we had gone out and we're sitting on our deck, and we just finished the deck. So you'll see some videos of that eventually. Once we get home. So we're out there sitting on our deck, first time sitting on our deck since it was done. We have a nice new gazebo that we had built and put up, and we were just enjoying ourselves. And finally the skies were clearing, because we'd had smoke since we'd gotten back from our vacation. And we looked up, and there's blue sky, and I go to Mom, I said, the road is really busy. Why is the road so busy? And Mom goes, well, the road's always busy, right? I said, no. After 6 o'clock, our road gets quiet. There's not a whole lot of traffic. And it was car after car after car, truck, and then you'd see a trailer go. And I'm thinking, maybe people are going for vacation. And again, look up the sky, blue sky, except for this one location right above us. It was sort of brownish skies, smoke. But I mean, it'd been like that for the last, week since we'd been home. Well, not even a week, 5 days since we'd been home. And, and we saw lots of clear sky, and the air smelled good for, the first time since Sunday. And then we saw a police car head up the road, and then we saw a fire truck and a couple other emergency vehicles. But the thing that goes through your mind is, well, something happened health-wise, and the ambulance isn't able to get there, so the paramedics and police are going, right? That's what we're thinking. And this is 6 o'clock. So we go into the house and eat. Mom goes and has a shower. So I'm talking to our friends at 7:06. And so so when he told me that our friends had been evacuated, and these are friends from church, Mom got out of the shower. I said, I got to go. I think we need to start packing. And Mom got out of the shower, and I said, okay, let's go. We got to go. I said, we got to pack, weigh, and Nathan had been told that they have to evacuate. And so Mom heads downstairs, and I yelled downstairs. I said, make sure and pack for 4 seasons. I said, because who knows, right? Like, if you've watched our videos before, right behind us we have a cliff, and up above the cliff is trees and everything else, right? And the fire is coming from out back of our place. And so I think it was about an hour. We were packing and stuff, and I went downstairs. And it's funny too, because you always think, okay, I can do this. But when I started packing up things that I needed, I did, hit my makeup drawers, hair products, throw them all in a box. I had a box still in the house from the trailer. And so I started filling it up, and then in went the underwear, in went my PJs, and I thought I'd taken the box downstairs. I'm actually not sure where the box is. The box is missing. Okay, a cat just came and Missy's barking at the cat. Missy, Nugget, hang on. Okay, Missy and Nugget are in the trailer. I go down, okay, it seems like it feels like Friday all over again. So then I start going through my clothes, right? And I had yelled at Mom when I said, pack up for 4 seasons, because we don't know if we're going to have a home when we get back. So I went through the closets and drawers, and you're pulling stuff out, but your brain kind of slows down. And as I've talked to more and more people, it's kind of how people feel at first, because it's a bit of a shock and you're not prepared for this. And then you talk to some people that literally all they had time to do was grab their kids, their pets, get in the vehicle and go. And because the fire was right on their doorstep. So we have time. We have time to pack, and we had talked about preparing for this before. So we kind of had an idea what to do. Mom grabbed the important papers and insurance papers and those kind of things. And then I noticed she was just kind of wandering slowly. And my mom's not a slow wanderer. Like, she's like, get to it person. And so I head back downstairs to start putting stuff in the car so I can take it out to the trailer. And I'm like, Mom, I said, you're not dressed, get dressed. And she's like, I don't want to get dressed. And I'm like, Mom, go and get dressed. And later on, she told me she was just numb, right? I mean, I think part of it is we've been through so much in like the last, 16 months or whatever. And so it's like, get your clothes. And she had been like packing up her sewing machines, which we had talked about because Mom's got expensive sewing machines. And we had talked about if we left, we would take those with us. And it's like, go get your clothes, right? And, but they're in the lot, like it was a little bit chaotic, right? And so then I go, okay, we got to go hook up the trailer. And she goes, well, why now? Like, let's do it later. I'm like, no, first off, I want to get the trailer done when it's light out so that we're not doing it in the dark. And we also don't know when we're going to have to leave. So at this time, we have still not heard anything about the flyer. And I think it was a short time later, after we'd hooked up the trailer, I got the first alert. And it was telling us that people farther out needed to evacuate, and not that much farther. So you basically go around the corner of our place. Now, yeah, this isn't helping you, but you go around the corner, like the road that's up behind our place. You head out that way, and it's probably, I don't know, kilometer and a half. There's a subdivision up in the hills. And so like they're telling everybody in Deer Ridge to get out. And I'm like, okay, we got to watch, we got to pay attention. So I get the first load of, Mom and I go out and take the first load of clothes out. And then we come back and start getting her sewing machines in the car and whatever else, winter boots, winter coats, whatever, right? Because I'm thinking future, because where the fire is coming from, I'm sure that our house is gone. And it was kind of surreal. And then I had an older gentleman call me up, Lauren. Him and his wife Nancy had just moved into an independent living place, and he had lost his driver's license. Now they're 92 and 91. And I said, Lauren, don't worry, we'll get you, right? We'll make sure that you're out of here. And so we continue packing up, and then I get an alert and I read it and I go, okay. And we almost finished, and I look at the alert again, and it's like, anywhere west of Cartwright on Prairie Valley, evacuate. And we are right, like Cartwright is the last road before our place where you can turn right. And I'm like, we got to go, right? And so Mom, it's like, okay, let's go. So we get out, she drives out, I go out to the truck to leave, and I pull her over because she's going to follow me. And I said, we got to make sure all the lights are working. So we check the lights, all the lights are working, and out onto the road I go. And all of a sudden Mom calls me, she goes, you've got no lights. And I'm like, what do you mean I have no lights? We just checked the lights. And I'm like, okay, we'll pull over at the school, stay close behind me. So since I have no lights, and I had no lights on the truck or the trailer. And a good thing I didn't pull over the school because other people were pulling into the school. And anyhow, I went to the knob for all the light controls are, and I switched it, and it hit auto, and everything came on. I don't know why they didn't work. It's not like I can hit it and turn it off. So anyhow, as we're heading out from Prairie Valley, for us, you go around one roundabout, and you sort of like go 2 turns past it and go straight, and then we go down a hill, and we take the first right at that roundabout. And right there's an old, I think it is Anglican church. It's a really beautiful stone church. And as I hit that curve, and I'm hoping I have a picture here that you can see. I know the pictures I've seen are not exactly what I saw. I turned to the left and looked at the hill, mountain, that's west of Summerland. And the whole thing, all along the whole ridge was on fire. It was surreal. And like by now it is 9:30, so it's dark out. And I mean, I knew our house was gone. Tougher than I thought. Okay. Why haven't done a video in a week? Because we're still, I mean, everybody's still in shock and stuff. So anyhow, that was that view as we drove to Penticton. And so we were lucky. We didn't have to think about where we were going. We had it for our church's parking lot. And not far before this, friends of ours, Diane and Bruce, they had already left. I think they took off just after 7. And where they live, which is out in Garnet Valley, where my grandparents were when I was a kid, and spent a lot of time out there, they got their stuff together, and they were out. And they said when they left, the trees were candling at the top of the mountain there and starting to come down into the valley. So when we got to the church parking lot, they were already parked there. So we sort of got situated, but just to show you how messed up your head is with everything in, as I was like in adrenaline mode, right? And so I get the trailer backed up, I get it back up on blocks so that it's level, and then I forgot to block the trailer from going forward. So I start to unhook it, and the whole thing shifts, and luckily I don't know what you could, where the ball is, it landed on the hitch still. And so then I yelled for Bruce to come over to help me, and we got the tires blocked up, and then I put blocks under our jacks, and I jacked the trailer up, and everything was fine. But you're not thinking, right? Like, I mean, I was just like, okay, let's get out of here, escape mode. So I had called Lauren earlier and said, hey, check with the staff there and see if I need to come and get you. And he's like, oh, they're really busy. I'll call you. And so now it's midnight. We arrived at 10. Meanwhile, one of the ladies in the complex next door had walked over and said, hey, I've got a friend coming in from Summerland. Can she park her? I said, absolutely. And so it's, almost midnight. I still haven't, I called Lauren once before, and he said, oh, they're busy. I can't talk to them right now. So now it's midnight, and I called back and I said, go and talk to them. And I said, I'm going to stay on the phone with you and go over there and talk to them. And he walks over there, and I hear them say, well, just a minute. I said, Lauren, stay there. You need to ask them. And so she was, in a minute, like I'm not even a minute, she said, well, asked him how she could help him. And he says, I have friends that can come and get me. Should they come and get me or get us? And she goes, absolutely, tell them to come and get you. I mean, I don't know how many people are in this facility, right? There's got to be close to, I would think, 200. When I got there to pick them up, there was probably 75 or more people sitting in the lobby. So I head out there to get them, and the smoke is so thick. It's just like thick as soup. Like you just can't, it's difficult to see, and my eyes were burning, and I could feel it hit my throat. And so then I get up to the facility to pick them up, and I called them from outside thinking, okay, they'll meet me outside or at the door, and they're not. So I walk in, and I'm like looking for them. And there's this seats of people sitting there, right? And start to call him again. And I see this little hand waving. He was sitting down, and Lauren's a little on the short side. And so I couldn't see him till he waved. So I went over there to get him, and his wife wasn't there. And anyhow, eventually there was a bunch of other stuff that happened and stuff. But I finally get them out of there. And we head back to Penticton. And they ended up staying the night with us. So Mom slept on the couch. I wanted her to sleep on my bed. She's like, no, you're taller than me. I'll sleep here. I'll be okay. So they slept with us. When we were leaving Penticton or Summerland, I wanted to do just a little drive so I could see what the fire was doing. But the fact is the smoke was so thick, you couldn't even see where the fire was. So I had no idea how far it had burned at that point. And so we head for Penticton. And on the way, I said, Lauren, call your daughter, right? I need to make sure she has my phone number. And so he calls her, and I chat with her, give her my phone number, and asked her to text me so that I would have her number, which was a good thing I'd done that, because their phones went dead and they didn't have a charger. And I had mentioned to them, so this is just to show you when people are in this kind of mode of panicking, they're not thinking about what they're taking. And Nancy had gotten sick at the home, so I had gone to their unit and Lauren and I got a change of clothes for her. And when I went to put the clothes in the box, I noticed there was a couple coffee mugs, a couple water jugs, some fruit, some chocolate bars, and then I found out there was a few other things. No clothes. They never packed any clothes. But it shows you when people are in a panic that they're not thinking about what they're getting. So anyhow, the next day I connected with the daughter and said, she's here, and they were making plans on getting her parents out. And their son came from Vernon and picked them up, but he had to go the long way around because the road from Penticton to Summerland and then on to Kelowna was closed because of the fires. The fires had crossed the road. And the fires were, this here fire, they called it the Bald fire, and you can go, Bald Mountain Fire. So you can go online and you'll find a bunch of different pictures and videos and things about it. Was the fastest burning fire in BC history. It went from 400 hectares, where a hectare is about 2.5 acres. It went from 400 hectares to 5,000 hectares in 2 to 3 hours. It moved. And then, by Monday, we were already up to 18,000 hectares. So this was just a crazy, crazy fire. So anyhow, we stayed at the church. Oh, and then that night, after we got Lauren and Nancy back about 1:30, and another lady came into the parking lot and said, can we park our fifth wheel here? And I said, absolutely, right? So they came in and parked, and of course we go to church on Saturday, and they wanted to know, what time did church start, because they were going to be out of there when it started. And I said, don't worry about it. You just stay here as long as you need to stay here. People are in shock. People were sleeping in their cars. The next morning we went in their car, and Canadian Tire had a lot of fifth wheels and trailers and stuff, RVs parked, different businesses. There was a lot of trailers. By Saturday night, a lot of those trailers had moved on. People just needed somewhere to park and think and figure out what they were going to do. And the majority of people with trailers and stuff, by the next day, they had found places to stay. Some people were going through ESS. Now, our town has 12,000 people in it. So Penticton's around 30,000, I think it is. So when you think about it, 12,000 extra people ending up in the town and needing help, right? So the emergency, that's what ESS stands, emergency services. Friends of ours ended up, they went Friday night, and then it closed, and they spent 13 and a half hours in there on Saturday, and then I think they spent another 9 hours on Sunday. By the time they finally had emergency funds available to them, and had found been assigned to an RV for some friends and other friends to hotels. Now, Mom and I weren't worried about that. We had our trailer. We had everything that we needed in our trailer. We really didn't have food. I had run into the fridge and just grabbed some bread and cucumbers and I think some mayonnaise, really nothing. And because, we needed to get out of the house. Now, if you are evacuated for any reason, the one thing you want to remember is turn off your water to your fridge. And I'll tell you why later, but that's one thing you need to do is if you have a fridge with an ice maker or whatever, turn the water off to your fridge. So we spent the night there. I never slept. I never slept at all that night. In the morning, so on our street there's 5 properties, and we all know each other and we all help each other out, and we have amazing neighbors, really amazing neighbors. And I knew that our neighbors down the street from us, Darren and Mike, their father and son, they live on the same property, they have their families there. And I knew they weren't leaving. I knew they were going to stay behind. But the rest of us, we all got out of Dodge. You know, I got a mom, 83, got to keep her safe. And I met some new neighbors that had just moved in. They're renting from our friends across the road. So, I mean, I woke up that morning and positive our house was gone. And I was okay. I dealt with it. I was okay with it. But then, this is the weird thing. Then I sent Darren a text and just said, hey, what's up? Because I was sure by then he would be evacuated, because I was sure everything was gone. And he's like, your house is still standing. And that's when the emotions hit me. Because I was sure. I hope it's gone. So then you're kind of different. You go into a different mindset, but you're so grateful that your home is standing. But we knew 3 blocks away, people had lost their homes. We'd seen enough YouTube videos and posts that we knew there was quite a few people that had lost their homes. And that's hard, because you're grateful. And you know other people don't have a home to go to. I was prepared that we'd be living in our trailer till at least October. I was even thinking, okay, we're going to the States for the winter, because we used to go down to Palm Springs. My parents went down there for a lot of winters. You know, so you have these plans in your head of other things that you're going to do. And then you're like, okay, our friends and family, our friends, do they have their places still? And I'm grateful for that too, that people that, you know, most of the people we know still have their homes. A couple days later, some friends of ours that we got to know during COVID, they live on the next street over from our place. Like, you go at the end of our road is a family, and then on the other side is friends of ours that have a B&B over there. And they came over and visited us at the parking lot and told us that, you know, their son had called and said, hey, there's a fire, get ready, you got to get out of here. And they just sort of sat there and said, oh no, it's okay. And they had dinner, and they had kids out visiting and friends out visiting. And, you know, they were like, it's not coming this far. Meanwhile, we're packed up and almost ready to go. So like, it really hits people differently. And then their son called back and said, we're out of here. Our house, we don't expect our house to be standing. We can see the flames coming. And then they realized it was serious. And so they started getting ready. They had 2 horses they had to move, and they moved those over to Naramata, which is on the other side of the lake. And because they have a large piece of property and equipment, they had friends that were plowing the ground up to make like a fire break. And they parked all their stuff out in the field, and we're hoping that it was there when they got back. Their house is standing too. But here we are now. Today is Sunday, so we are a week and a bit out, and we have no idea when we're going to get back. But again, I told you, we have amazing neighbors. So our neighbors right across the street, they have irrigation, because we're all on, what do you call it? Farmland. All of our properties are agricultural. That's it. All our properties are agricultural. And so our neighbor across the street has like this huge water line that comes into her property and has, you know, thick, you know, it's almost like fire hose lines. And then Darren and Mike had another, 500 meters. And so what they had done is they'd hooked this up to this water irrigation system, because they were sure the fire was going to come down over the cliff behind our place, and that our house would be the first one to go. So like, they were ready. They had hooked all the lines up and were ready to protect our place. I mean, like I said, we have amazing neighbors. And so, you know, we've been in contact with them. Mike sent me a message Saturday afternoon saying, hey, we're going to go around with the generators and charge everybody's freezers and fridges up. You know, can we get into your place? And it's like, absolutely, go into our place. And so they had done that. And on Sunday, they charged all our stuff up. They checked all the food. The food was still good in the freezers. So we haven't lost anything in our freezers, and we have 3 of them because, you know, we have the big garden, so we put away a lot of fruit and vegetables. And so Sunday evening, actually, our power came back on. And then, so when Darren was there, because like I said, we have 3 deep freezes and 2 fridges with freezers, and so Darren was over there 6 hours on Sunday doing our fridges and stuff. And he said we're talking, he's like, oh yeah, I was laying out your lawn and I almost fell asleep. I can't do that. But he couldn't just hook up the generators and leave because he was afraid somebody else would need it and take it. So he had to hang out there the whole time. And then when I was leaving, I had undone our drip lines and stuff like that and hooked up hoses to our taps just in case. And then right at the end of our street too is a fire hydrant. And so I totally, you know, I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that, but it was there. So, you know, if need be, they could have fought fires at our place, probably easier than a lot of places. What was it? A couple days later, I had called Darren and I said, you know what, because water's an issue. Water was contaminated, don't drink the water. And I said, you know, I think we have water in our garage and there might even be some that's frozen in the freezer. And they'd already taken care of their water issues, so that wasn't an issue. And I let them know too, is if anybody needs food, you know, go into our fruit room, go, you know, like whatever, the garden's there, take whatever you need, we'll take whatever people need. Because some people didn't leave, and if they went too far from their property, they could be told to leave and evacuate. And people didn't want to do that. They were staying behind to take care of their properties, and also watch out for, you know, hot spots taking off again or wind changing, because the wind could change and fires come back. Our friends Bruce and Diane, we have since seen a video just today actually, and the fire was like at their doorstep. I mean, we had been over there just a while ago, sitting in their gazebo in the backyard, and I don't know, maybe 30 feet of grass, and then they had a shed, and that shed's gone. Their daughter's partner, he had parked their truck out at their place because they had taken off prior to this, and his truck was burnt. They lost a couple more sheds, but their house is standing. So we're grateful for that. Till we get back, we're really not going to know, but we stayed in Penticton for about 4 days because we opened up the parking lot at the church for anybody who needed to come and park, and by then nobody was coming. And like I said, it's the first 24 hours that's really important for people to find somewhere to stay, and then after that they're pretty much settled. I mean, people have gone everywhere. I mean, I just heard today somebody was over in Victoria. They took off because their kids were having coughing issues. The smoke has been really bad. So we're actually staying out in Karamias, and I'm just going to switch this around. So this is what Karamias looks like. You can see all of the smoke. I mean, it's right down low here. Let's see if we can just zoom in a bit. So like, it's really smoky. I heard that in Summerland, it actually was up to 700. So mom thought she was getting a really bad cold, but I think it was just the smoke. But so we just on Monday night, I was in at a meeting and at the church, and I came out to the parking lot and I said, we're moving. We're going to head to Karamias tomorrow. And I just want to say, whoever's watching this that offered us places to stay, thank you. Thank you. I mean, people are amazing. And we even had an offer to stay in a 3-bedroom cabin on a lake. It was, you know, a little bit farther away. And so I ended up choosing to come out to our friends Norm and Nancy because they'd offered, and they have a 30 amp. So we could have the air conditioner plugged in because it was really, it would get hot where we were staying, and we could only do fans there. And then you'd end up having to open the door to try to get some cool air, but it was smoky outside. And so right now, my voice sounds different. I can hear it. My throat hurts. Eyes have been pretty bad, but you know what? We're safe. The dogs were not happy when we were in the parking lot. They were so stressed out. And now that we're out here, there's 2 acres and the dogs run around and have a great time. And we're in Norm and Nancy's house, and they don't have sewer hookups here, which is fine because we're just not using it in the trailer. We just go into the house at night or whenever. And they're just been fabulous, just fantastic. It's so nice to have good friends. And yeah, like I said, thank you to everybody who offered. Oh, so Sunday, so at church on Saturday we had potluck, so that was great. Sunday we were invited over to Friend's Place. Monday we were invited over to Friend's Place, and Monday someone came out and said, hey, can I get you any food? I'm like, no, that's okay. And she's like, what about our noodles? And she's Filipino, and my mom loves her noodles. And I said, you know what, since it's your noodles, sure. And then later that night, I got another phone call asking if they could bring food for us for Tuesday night. And I thanked them for the offer, and it's Indian food. It's so good. I thanked them for the offer, but said that we're going to take off in the morning. And so we were out here by noon, I think it was, on Tuesday. And so that night we settled in, but I never put the jacks down or anything, because we were exhausted, right? It was stressful. And so that night the wind kicked up, and anytime I'd roll over or Mom would roll over, the whole trailer would rock back and forth. And so first thing in the morning I got up and I stabilized everything, blocked everything, because we were still hooked. Well, I am still hooked up to the pickup. I'm a little paranoid. You never know, if a fire breaks out, then we can leave early. So yeah, so leveled everything out so it wasn't rocking and turning, and we're settled in here for now. The hard part is not knowing when we can go back. Part of Summerland, which is down in the Trout Creek area right next to the lake, they've been allowed to go back just on the east side of the highway. And right about now I'll show a video that shows all of the burnt stuff that hit the lake that's come and hit the shores. It's just unbelievable. So like, I'm wondering when we get home. I know Darren said, oh, you got cleanup to do. I'm really hoping our new deck isn't damaged, but you know what? Our house is standing. So glad about that. So this is it for now from my mini homestead, where we've relocated out to Karamias. I'm really hoping by the end of the week we can get back in. Power lines have to be fixed and trees cut down that are smoldering and dangerous by the roads. I think the water treatment plant is now ready to go, but right now there's still a drinking order. And so when we do get the okay to go back, I'm gonna go home, I'll check on everything. I got a few things that I gotta do, but if it's really smoky, I'm gonna keep Mom out here in Karamias for a bit. Just so that she's not breathing in that smoke. And, we'll go home when it's safe. And so I'm not going to be posting again until I'm actually going home. And I'll post another video showing some of the things that I see. And probably another emotional video, but sitting on the backyard, and we're, safe at home. But I'm going to say goodbye for now from my mini homestead, and everybody stay safe, take care of yourself, and once again, so grateful.